You have been carrying something that was never yours to carry. The self you outgrew but kept dragging forward anyway. A relationship that ended months ago in everything but name. A resentment so familiar it started to feel like personality. A dream someone else designed for you that you kept chasing because stopping would mean admitting you were running in the wrong direction this whole time. Holding on is taught to us as virtue, persistence, loyalty, commitment. Never give up. Fight for what you love. Stay the course no matter what the course costs you. And so you stayed. You held. You gripped until your hands went white around things that had already decided to leave. Around people who had already chosen differently, around timelines that life itself had quietly retired without asking your permission. What nobody prepares you for is the weight of all that holding, the slow accumulation of everything you refuse to release, how it layers itself across your shoulders, across months and years, until moving forward feels like dragging something heavy through mud, and you cannot even name what the weight is anymore because you have been carrying it so long it started to feel like you. It is not you. None of it is you. It is just everything you were never meant to keep. Letting go is not giving up. Letting go is not weakness dressed in philosophical language. Letting go is the most honest thing you can do with the limited time and energy you have been given. It is the decision to stop spending your one life maintaining a grip on things that stopped serving you and start opening your hands to what has been waiting for you to do exactly that. Every open hand can receive something new. Every closed one can only hold what it already has. Today, we are going to walk through 12 things that transform the moment you release them. Not perfectly, not all at once, but one honest release at a time. Whether you are watching this at midnight unable to sleep or in the morning finally ready to begin again, comment below, I am letting go. 1. Let go of the person you thought you would be by now. At some point you drew a picture of your future. Maybe not literally, maybe it just lived in your head with the kind of quiet certainty that felt less like a wish and more like a given. By this age, you would have built this. By this stage, you would have become that. The picture was detailed, the timeline was clear, and the person standing in that imagined future was confident and settled and had figured out all the things the current you is still working through. Life did not follow the picture. It took different turns, some chosen, some forced, some that felt catastrophic at the time and turned out to contain gifts that the original plan never had room for. And now you carry this quiet grief that most people never talk about. Not grief for a person, grief for the person you were supposed to become. That imagined figure standing just behind your shoulder at every milestone you reach, reminding you that you are behind, that you are not where you planned to be, that the distance between where you are and where you imagined you would be is somehow a measure of your failure. That ghost is lying to you. Comparing your actual life to an imagined one is measuring a real, complicated, lived human experience against a fantasy that never had to survive contact with reality. The imagined future never lost anyone, never had its plans dismantled by circumstances outside its control, never had to adapt to grief or illness or economic collapse, or the specific curveballs that your actual life threw at you without warning. Of course, the fantasy looks cleaner. It was never real enough to get messy. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal words he never intended for any audience. Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together. Do so with all your heart. He was a Roman emperor with every resource available to him. And he still had to remind himself, privately and repeatedly, to stop measuring his actual life against what he had imagined it would be, and start working fully and wholeheartedly with what it actually was. If Marcus Aurelius needed that reminder, you are allowed to need it too. The person standing here right now, the one reading this, the one who took the unexpected turns and survived the losses and kept moving even when the plan completely fell apart, that person is not a disappointment. That is a testament to resilience that the imagined future never had to demonstrate, because the imagined future never faced anything real. Release the imagined timeline. Stop measuring your real life against a fictional one. Your life did not go wrong. Your life went real. And real, with all its deviation and surprise and unplanned direction, is where everything that actually matters gets built. The person you are becoming is more interesting than the person you plan to be. Give that person room to finish arriving. 2. Let go of people who only show up when they need something. A name came to mind before you finished reading that heading. You already know exactly who this point is about. The person whose contact arrives in waves that correspond suspiciously with their level of need. Present when they are in crisis. Absent when yours hits, available when they want something from you, unreachable when you have something to say that does not benefit them. You have explained this pattern away so many times you have become fluent in the language of their excuses. They are going through something. They are not great at keeping in touch. They show love differently. They have a lot on their plate right now. And all of that may be partially true. People do go through seasons. People do struggle with reciprocity. People do have different relational styles. But a pattern that repeats across months and years without changing is not a season. It is a structure. It is how this relationship is built. And continuing to invest in a structure that was designed to take from you without returning anything is not loyalty. It is a refusal to see clearly what is directly in front of you. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those who you are capable of improving. The process is a mutual one. Men learn as they teach. Mutual. That single word carries the entire weight of what a real relationship requires. A connection that only flows in one direction is not a relationship. It is a dynamic where one person gives and one person receives. And the person giving has convinced themselves that this is what connection looks like because the alternative, acknowledging what it actually is too painful to face directly. Releasing these connections does not make you cold or selfish or someone who abandons people when things get complicated. It makes you someone who finally understands that your energy is finite and precious, and that pouring it into connections that return nothing is not generosity. It is a slow depletion of something you cannot afford to keep losing. Your energy is not an unlimited resource. It does not regenerate fully between every draining interaction. Every time you give to someone who does not give back, something real is spent. Something that could have gone toward your own healing, your own growth, your own relationships with people who are always capable of returning what they received. The space created when you release a one-sided connection never stays empty for long. It fills with something that the occupied space was preventing. People who were always capable of real reciprocity but could never find room in your life because every available space was already occupied by someone who was taking without returning. Release what drains you. Make room for what restores you. Those two actions are the same action performed on different objects. 3. Let go of the need to control what you were never meant to control. Every night you replay the things you could not prevent. The conversation that went differently than you planned. The outcome you prepared for that arrived in a completely different shape. The person who made a choice that affected you and that you had no power to intercept no matter how much you saw it coming. The situation that slipped out of your hands despite every effort you made to maintain your grip on it. And so you go back, in the quiet moments, in the middle of the night, running the alternate versions. Identifying the moment where a different action from you might have changed the result. Carrying the weight of outcomes you were never actually positioned to control, as though they were failures of your management rather than events that were simply outside your jurisdiction. Control feels like safety. That equation is deeply human and completely understandable. If you can manage enough variables, predict enough outcomes, influence enough people and situations, then nothing can truly blindside you. You can stay ahead of the pain if you just stay alert enough, plan thoroughly enough, hold tightly enough to everything that matters. Except the things that break us are almost never the ones we were controlling. They arrive from the direction we were not watching because our attention was fully occupied with maintaining our grip on everything else. Epictetus built his entire philosophy around one distinction. He said, "Of things, some are in our power and others are not. In our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion. Not in our power are body, reputation, command, and in a word whatever is not our own action." Two lists: what is yours to manage and what is not. Most people spend the majority of their emotional energy on the second list and then wonder why they feel so perpetually exhausted despite working so hard. Other people's choices are on the second list. The timing of things is on the second list. How other people feel about your decisions is on the second list. Outcomes you contributed to but do not own are on the second list. The opinions others form about you, regardless of how carefully you behave, are on the second list. None of it is yours to control. All of it costs you something when you try. The moment you genuinely release the second list, not as a performance of acceptance, but as a real recognition that you were never the owner of those outcomes, something loosens in your chest that you have been holding so long you forgot it was not meant to be held. A tension that had become background noise suddenly goes quiet. What remains is the first list: your choices, your effort, your attention, your response to what arrives uninvited. Those things are entirely yours. Pour everything into them, and release the rest with the understanding that releasing it was always the only honest option you had. 4. Let go of the story you keep telling about why you cannot start. The perfect moment has been arriving next month for the last 3 years, when things settle down, when you have enough saved, when you feel more prepared, when the fear reduces to a manageable level, when life gives you a cleaner starting point and a clearer signal and a more obvious sign that this is the moment to finally begin the thing you have been circling for longer than you want to admit. And every month that passes adds another layer to the story. Another reason why now is still not quite the right time. Another piece of evidence that conditions are not yet optimal. Another justification that sounds completely reasonable from inside and that you would immediately recognize as avoidance if you heard someone else saying it about their own life. The story is not protecting you. The story is imprisoning you in a waiting room that has no door-marked exit because the exit was always the beginning you kept postponing. Readiness is not a state that arrives before action. It is a state that action creates. No one who has ever built anything meaningful felt ready before they started. They felt terrified. They felt underqualified. They felt like they were moving forward on incomplete information with insufficient resources toward an outcome they could not guarantee. They moved anyway, and the movement itself generated everything that waiting could never have produced. Aristotle observed, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence then is not an act but a habit, what you repeatedly do, not what you repeatedly plan, not what you repeatedly intend, not what you repeatedly tell yourself you will begin when circumstances improve, what you actually, consistently, repeatedly do in the real hours of your real days. That is what builds a life. Everything else is preparation that never quite becomes the thing it was preparing for. Fear wearing the costume of practicality sounds responsible. It sounds like you are being measured and sensible rather than self-protective. It is one of the most convincing performances that avoidance ever stages, because from inside the story, every reason feels legitimate. The timing really does seem off. The resources really do seem insufficient. The risk really does seem larger than you can currently manage, but the timing will always seem off until you begin. The resources will always seem insufficient until the beginning forces you to locate the ones you did not know you had. The risk will always seem unmanageable until you are inside it and discover that you are more equipped to handle it than waiting could ever have revealed. Release the story. Not because the fears are not real, they are real. Begin anyway. Begin imperfectly. Begin under-resourced and uncertain and with half the confidence you wish you had. The beginning is the only thing that can build everything that comes after it, and you have been standing at the door long enough. 5. Let go of the grudge that is only poisoning you. The person who hurt you is sleeping fine tonight. That sentence lands differently depending on where you are in your healing. For some people it is a relief to name it plainly. For others it is a particular kind of pain. Because you have been awake with this, replaying it, feeling its edges in quiet moments when you wished you were not, carrying it into new situations and new relationships where it does not belong but arrives anyway because it is still attached to you. And they are not carrying it, at least not in the way you are. They have continued, their life has continued, and your continued suffering, your continued resentment, your continued inability to fully release what they did has not extracted any justice from the situation. It has only extended your stay inside it. Holding a grudge feels like power. It feels like maintaining something important, like your refusal to forgive is a form of accountability in a situation where accountability was never properly delivered. Like staying resentful keeps the record accurate when no one else was keeping it. But resentment is not a punishment you inflict on the person who wronged you. It is a punishment you inflict on yourself while imagining it reaches them. And most of the time, it does not reach them at all. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it. The cause is behind you, the anger is in you, and you are the one paying for both." Every moment you spend maintaining the resentment is a moment spent in the company of the person and situation you most want to be free of. You are keeping them alive inside you long after they have moved on from the incident that you are still living inside. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood words in the language. People resist it because they believe it communicates something about the acceptability of what was done to them, that it erases the record, that it tells the person who hurt them that they are off the hook. Forgiveness communicates none of those things. Forgiveness means you are removing their actions from the position of landlord in your mind. You are reclaiming the mental and emotional real estate that resentment has been occupying and redirecting it towards something that actually serves the life you are still building. Release the grudge, not for them, not to suggest that what they did was acceptable, but for the part of you that has been paying rent on someone else's damage for far too long and deserves to stop. 6. Let go of needing everyone to understand you. You have explained yourself so many times you are exhausted by your own story, the same choices justified in different words to different people, the same reasoning unpacked again in a different conversation with someone who was already skeptical before you began. The same values defended to people who hold different ones and were never genuinely open to being persuaded by yours. And after every explanation, after every patient and thorough attempt to make your perspective land, you walk away feeling less understood than when you started. Because explanation is not the problem. Understanding is not a product of better explanation. It is a product of shared experience and shared values, and a genuine willingness on the part of the listener to consider a perspective that differs from their own. When those ingredients are absent, no amount of clarity or patience or carefully chosen words will bridge the gap. Some people cannot understand your choices because they have not lived what shaped them. They do not have the context that would make your decisions make sense. And you cannot give them that context through conversation. You cannot transfer lived experience through explanation. The gap between your perspective and theirs is not a communication problem. It is a life experience problem, and it may not be solvable. Epictetus said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" That response comes from someone who has genuinely released the need for external validation of their own character. Someone who has separated their self-knowledge from other people's opinions of them so completely that criticism lands without finding purchase. That separation is available to you, not as indifference, not as arrogance, as the quiet recognition that the people whose understanding actually matters are the people who already offer it. Not because you explained yourself perfectly, because they see something true in you and recognize it without needing a translation. The people who require constant justification of your choices are not trying to understand you. They are trying to influence you. Every explanation you provide is an opening. Every detail you volunteer is a handhold they can use to redirect you back toward the choices they would prefer you make. Stop offering the handholds. Move in the direction your life is calling you. State your choices plainly and let them stand without an architecture of explanation holding them up. The right people will follow without needing a guided tour. And the ones who need the tour were probably not coming with you anyway. 7. Let go of the relationship that has already ended, but you refuse to leave. The relationship did not end with a conversation. It ended with a silence that kept getting longer. No dramatic moment, no clear declaration, just a gradual cooling that you watched happen across months or years, choosing each time to interpret it as temporary. A phase, something they were going through, a season that would turn back if you stayed consistent and patient and present enough for both of you. But some things do not turn back. Not because the love was never real. Love can be completely real, and a relationship can still run its course. People grow in directions that move them away from each other. What worked at one stage of two people's lives cannot always survive the transition into the next stage. What was right for who you both were cannot always accommodate who you are both becoming. And staying beyond the end of something, refusing to acknowledge that it concluded while hoping your continued presence will somehow reverse what has already happened, is not love. It is a refusal to grieve. And ungrieved endings do not disappear. They compound. They layer themselves over every new experience until you are carrying the weight of something that ended long ago into every new beginning. Seneca wrote, "Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est." Everything is alien to us. Only time is truly ours. Time is the only resource that genuinely cannot be recovered. Months and years spent trying to resurrect something that genuinely concluded are months and years that cannot be redirected toward something that is actually alive and growing and capable of returning what you put into it. Grieve it honestly. Sit with the specific weight of that particular loss without immediately converting it into a lesson or a growth opportunity or anything other than what it is. A real ending deserves real grief. Not performance, not the curated version of healing you share with others. The private, honest, sitting with it grief that is the only path through. And then, when the grief has been allowed to move through you rather than being stored inside you, release what ended. Acknowledge that it was real, that it mattered, that the ending does not erase what it was before it became what it is now. Real endings make room for real beginnings. False continuations just delay both. What comes after a genuinely acknowledged ending is always more honest than anything built on top of an ending you refuse to name. 8. Let go of who you were after trauma and become who you are now. Something broke you open, and you rebuilt around the break. What happened to you was real. The damage was real. The way your entire internal world reorganized itself in response to the rupture was not weakness or fragility. It was intelligence. Your system did exactly what systems do when they experience a significant breach. It adapted. It built new defenses around the vulnerable places. It developed heightened sensitivity to the kind of threat that caused the original damage, so it could detect it earlier next time. Those adaptations served you. During the worst of it, they kept you functional. They kept you moving through days that would have been impossible without the distance and the walls and the hypervigilance that your survival required. But adaptations designed for surviving a dangerous season become prisons in a safer one. The wall that protected you while the wound was fresh starts blocking out the warmth now that healing has begun. The distance that kept you safe from further damage starts preventing the closeness that genuine recovery requires. The hypervigilance that kept you alert to real threats starts generating false ones, reading danger into situations that are actually safe, interpreting care as threat because your nervous system learned to treat all vulnerability as risk. Viktor Frankl, writing from survival of conditions most of us cannot imagine, observed, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. The situation is behind you. What happened cannot be changed. The challenge now is not to survive it. The challenge is to change yourself in response to having survived it. To recognize that the tools you needed for the worst of it are not the tools you need for what comes next. That carrying a shield into a room where nobody is attacking you is not safety. It is an old response to an old threat in a new situation that deserves a different approach. You are allowed to soften where you hardened out of necessity rather than choice. You are allowed to be curious again where you became guarded. You are allowed to trust again, carefully and with clear eyes, in ways that survival made impossible to risk. The trauma happened to you. The strength it built is also yours. But who you are now, on the other side of surviving it, is yours to decide. Not what happened to you, not the defenses you built. You, the person who is still here after all of it. Let that person step forward. They have been waiting long enough. 9. Let go of comparing your inside to everyone else's outside. You know everything about your own struggle and almost nothing about theirs. You know your 3 a.m. thoughts. The private fears you have never said to anyone. The days when the gap between how you appear and how you actually feel is so wide, you spend the whole day managing the distance. The specific doubts about whether you are doing enough, being enough, moving fast enough towards something that sometimes feels clear and sometimes feels like you invented it to have something to aim at. You know all of that because you are the one living inside it. Every layer of it, the edited version you share and the unedited version that runs continuously underneath. And then you look at someone else's life and see the photograph, the announcement, the achievement shared at its most photogenic moment, the highlight extracted from a life that contains exactly the same proportion of private struggle and 3 a.m. thoughts and gap managing as yours does. And you compare your unedited interior to their edited exterior and feel the distance between where you are and where they appear to be as though it were a real and meaningful measurement of something. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of what you have not, but count the blessings actually present, and think how much you would desire them if they were not yours already. Count what is actually present, not what someone else appears to have acquired, not what the imagined timeline said you would have by now. What is genuinely, specifically, really present in your actual life right now? The relationships, the growth, the things you have built that you stopped noticing because your attention moved to what you have not yet reached. The person whose life you are measuring against yours is running the same comparison in another direction, looking at something about your life and feeling the same gap that you feel when you look at theirs. This is the invisible and universal condition of comparison. Almost no one is comparing from genuine wholeness. Almost everyone is using someone else's curated highlight to confirm an inadequacy they were already carrying. You are comparing your reality to a performance, and performances are always more impressive than reality. That is the entire function of a performance. Release the comparison. Not because your life is complete or your progress is sufficient or your struggles are not real, but because comparison was never measuring anything true. It was measuring your interior against someone else's exterior. And those are not comparable things. They never were. The only comparison that produces anything useful is the one you make with who you were a year ago. That gap is real, that measurement is honest, and most of the time that distance is further than you gave yourself credit for. 10. Let go of the version of success that was never really yours. You have been running toward a finish line someone else drew. Before you were old enough to draw your own, someone handed you a picture of what a successful life looks like. Your parents, your culture, the school that ranked you and rewarded certain kinds of achievement and ignored others, the neighborhood that made certain markers of success visible and aspirational, and everything else invisible or irrelevant. You absorbed that picture before you had a self developed enough to question it. You accepted the definition before you knew you were accepting a definition rather than a truth. And you have been building toward it ever since. Working in its direction, measuring yourself against its standards, feeling the gap between where you are and what it requires, as though that gap is evidence of your insufficiency. And even when you get close to it, something feels wrong. A particular hollowness that success of this variety keeps producing. A vague dissatisfaction that you cannot name, because by every external measure you are doing what you were supposed to do. You achieved what you were pointed toward, and it does not feel like what you were promised it would feel like. Aristotle wrote, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." Not knowing what other people define as success. Not knowing what your culture rewards or your family expects or your social circle uses as its benchmark of arrival. Knowing yourself, your specific values. The things that make a day feel genuinely well spent rather than productively endured. The version of a life well lived that emerges from your actual interior rather than from the external pressures that shaped your early understanding of what you were supposed to want. That self-knowledge is not discovered all at once. It emerges through honest questioning of what you are actually chasing and why. Through noticing what makes you feel alive versus what makes you feel like you are performing aliveness for an audience that may not even be watching. Through the willingness to release the borrowed definition even when releasing it means disappointing people whose approval you still partly want. Release the borrowed definition, not dramatically, not as a rejection of everyone who contributed to it, but as a quiet, honest acknowledgement that you are old enough now to draw your own picture. That you have enough lived experience to know the difference between what you were taught to want and what you actually want. The pursuit of what you actually want, built on what you actually value, oriented toward what genuinely constitutes a life well lived for you specifically, is not selfish. It is the most honest thing you can do with the time you have. Draw your own finish line, then run toward it with everything you have. 11. Let go of the apology that is never coming and heal anyway. Part of you is still waiting for the words that would finally make it make sense. Not consciously maybe, but somewhere in the architecture of your healing, something is holding itself slightly back from full recovery. Maintaining a thin connection to what happened. Keeping a reserve of unresolved pain accessible because healing completely before the acknowledgement arrives feels like letting them off without consequence. Like your full recovery would communicate something about the acceptability of what was done, so you stay partially in it. Not by choice exactly, but by the logic of a part of you that believes justice requires their participation in your healing before your healing can legitimately conclude. Some people are never going to apologize, not always because they are incapable of remorse, sometimes because their self-image cannot accommodate the full acknowledgement of what they did. The story they tell about themselves and the story of what they did to you cannot coexist in their mind, and they have chosen, consciously or not, to protect their self-story by refusing to fully inhabit yours. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay, not because time erases things, because time creates enough distance to see them clearly. And seeing clearly often reveals that waiting for acknowledgement from someone who is not coming is not justice. It is a continuation of the original wound by different means. Your healing does not require their participation. Your right to move forward is not contingent on them finally arriving at the accountability they owe you. The peace you deserve is not something they get to withhold from you by refusing to provide closure. Heal without the apology. Actively, deliberately, in full knowledge that the acknowledgement you deserved never arrived, and that you are choosing to release its absence rather than letting that absence continue to define what is possible for you. One day, without planning for it, you will realize you stopped thinking about it, not because you forgave in a dramatic moment, not because you made a decision that resolved it cleanly, but because you got so absorbed in the life you were building that the wound stopped being the loudest thing in the room. That is not forgetting. That is not excusing what happened. That is what genuine healing looks like when it is allowed to finish. Quiet, gradual, real. You deserve that finish. Do not let the absence of their words be the reason you never reach it. 12. Let go of the fear of starting over and discover what you are actually made of. The ground fell away, and now you are standing at a beginning you never planned for. Everything you built toward that destination. Years of investment, significant portions of your identity constructed around what you were building and who you were building it with, and what it meant about you that you were building it at all, and it fell apart. Or you walked away when staying became more damaging than leaving. Or life removed it from your hands in a way you did not choose and cannot reverse. And now starting over feels like regression, like being sent back to zero after years of building towards something. Like the ground you lost can never be recovered because the time it represented is gone and time does not go backwards. But you are not at zero. A person who has lived through something and survived it and extracted whatever clarity and resilience the experience had to offer is not at zero. They are at a beginning that is infinitely more equipped than the original one. They carry tools the first attempt generated, instincts that experience built, a clarity about what they are not willing to compromise on that they could only have arrived at by learning through the loss of it. Starting over at 30 is not the same as starting for the first time at 20. The person standing at this new beginning is not the person who stood at the first one. They have been through something. And what they have been through, as painful as it was, as expensive as it was, built something in them that ease and smooth progression never could have. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Waste no more time grieving the start over. Begin it. Not because the grief is not legitimate, it is legitimate, but because the beginning is the only thing that can produce the distance between you and what ended. And distance is what eventually converts grief into something you carry differently, something lighter, something that no longer determines the shape of everything around it. Every person who has ever built something worth building has a version of this moment in their story. The point where everything collapsed and the choice was between staying down and starting again. The people who built something made the second choice, not without fear, not without grief, not with any guarantee of a different outcome this time. With the stubborn, quiet, deeply personal decision that what they were capable of creating was worth the risk of beginning again from a broken place. You are more capable than comfort ever asked you to be. Difficulty reveals capacity that ease keeps permanently hidden. You do not find out what you are made of when things go smoothly. You find out right now. Standing at this unplanned beginning with no guarantee and no clear map, start moving. The discovery of what you are actually made of is waiting exactly one step past the fear. 12 grips, 12 releases, one life waiting on the other side of all of them. The person you thought you would be by now. The people who only appeared when they needed something. The control you were never meant to hold. The story about why the time is still not right. The grudge that was only poisoning you. The need for everyone to get it. The relationship that ended without an announcement. The survival identity of someone who forgot they already survived. The comparison between your raw interior and everyone else's polished exterior. The borrowed definition of success that was never calibrated to your actual values. The apology that is not coming. The fear of the beginning that might turn out to be the most important one you ever faced. None of it was serving you. All of it was costing you something real. And the moment you begin releasing these things, not all at once, not without grief, not in one clean decision that resolves everything, but genuinely and deliberately and with honest eyes about what holding on has been taking from you, life begins moving differently. Opportunities become visible that your full hands could not reach. People arrive who the occupied space was preventing. Versions of yourself emerge that your commitment to old identities was blocking. Letting go is not the end of the story. Letting go is what the story was building toward all along. Lao Tzu wrote something that has survived thousands of years because it has been true for every single one of them. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. What you might be is not somewhere far away. It is not waiting for better circumstances or more courage or a cleaner starting point. It is waiting on the other side of your grip, on the other side of the stories and the grudges and the one-sided connections and the imagined timelines and the borrowed definitions and the apologies that were never going to come anyway. Open your hands, all the way, and let life show you what it has been holding for you while you were holding everything else. If this video found you at exactly the right moment, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And remember, your open hands are not empty, they are finally ready.